Yo, what it do, y'all? It's your boy King Eric the Great, coming at y'all with another video. So I want to talk about the Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring joint that dropped. And let me be the first to say, man, it's very dark, it's very sad, and at the same time, very enticing in a lot of ways because they did a documentary on Brian Pillman in 2006 with the WWE. That was dark within itself, but with this joint here, this more like the rated R version. Like they dug deep into Pillman's background. We get deep into his relationships, and we get deep into the layers of how his character became the loose cannon. Let me be the first to say, man, that Pillman had a rough life, man. I mean, started with the throat surgeries that he had. People didn't know if he was gonna even live then. Then he overcompensated for everything. That's why he was so talkative. That's why he was so much of an assassin on the microphone, because he knew they told him he couldn't talk. He would never talk again. And somehow, through the grace of God, he was able to do that. Now, let me tell you all this, man. See, a lot of people are familiar with Brian in his last days, but let me tell you, man, he was one of the best high flyers in the 90s, man. If you really look at those matches he had with the Z-Man, the matches he had with Jushin Thunder Liger, Super Brawl 2, that's one of my all-time favorites. Pillman was one of the best workers in the game, man. Before the loose cannon days, I might add. He was a vanilla babyface, but that dude can work. So, in 1993, when he's teamed up with Stone Cold, well, at that time, Stunning Steve Austin, that's where things started really click for him as a character. The Hollywood Blondes. I mean, they were dope. And these tag teams today, they need to learn how to channel that heat, because these dudes knew how to do the heat. They knew how to draw heat. And they were one of the biggest draws of WCW. But see, at that time, you had a lot of player hating going on. You had a lot of locker room hating. Those guys got over quick, and I'm thinking it was either Ric Flair. It was either Ric Flair that halted they push. I think it was Flair, because if you look at the Flair for the Gold segment with Arn, Flair, Austin, and Pillman, they were tearing Arn and Flair up, bro. Pillman was tearing them up. I mean, they couldn't hang toe to toe with them dudes on the mic. So I'm kind of thinking that they didn't really give their best in those matchups with the Hollywood Blondes. They felt the sort of way. I could tell if you got the old Pillman documentary, look at that segment where they were guests on the Flair for the Gold, and you see how they went at Double A. They mocked them for their age. They were washed up. You could tell Flair and Arn didn't like that. So I think that's what happened. Flair, he had a lot of stroke at the time, and he halted their push, and they ended up splitting them up. So then after that, he started going far left, personal issues, family issues. Then he started developing the loose cannon persona. And that man, I'm going to tell you, man, he had the industry convinced that he was the craziest motherfucker walking. That's how brilliant Brian was, man. He was so convincing. Like, he had this. There was one of the crazy stories that I heard, and they mentioned this. I'm glad they mentioned it, that he actually was going to get plastic surgery to look like Shawn Michaels so he could be the evil Shawn Michaels and challenge him for the title. I actually thought they was going to really do that. So I'm glad they kind of brought that up. But they brought up when he went to the ECW, then he went up to they brought up with Kevin Sullivan, where he called him Booker Man and walked off during his match. The Bobby Heenan thing, which was funny. Then they brought up when he went to ECW and he wanted to take a piss in the ring. Pillman was on fire, man. Like, he was able to have the industry chasing him. But the sad part about it was the fact that when he got into that accident, man, that was a big blow. If you really seen that car, I'm surprised he lived. I'm surprised he survived another year. I'm surprised he was able to even walk. That's how crazy that was. If you look at that vehicle, man, and he wasn't the same sense. He wasn't the same at all psychologically. He wasn't the same as all physically. They said he couldn't even walk. He would be paralyzed, but somehow, some way, miraculously, he survived again. The cool part about that documentary was he worked the boy so well that even this is another key part I want y'all to notice. When he walked past Stone Cold in the back and he was in obvious pain, Stone Cold was like, he's working. Same with Foley. He's working. It was like he was that good. He fooled everybody to where everybody thought he was really crazy. He thought he was just acting. But that man was in pain, man. That man was in pain. And it was also sad seeing what his children went through. Especially what his son went through with his stepfather. And oh my God, man, his baby mama, what's her name, Melanie Pillman, his ex-wife, fell off the cliff. Boy, that drugs will get to you, man, straight up. I'm like, what did she smoke on? She smoked on an 8-ball before even the cameras aired? Like, good God. But it was a very interesting look intake on Pillman's career. It was like the WWE doc, but they went deeper into more so his personal life. Like, we get to see more intact with what's going on with his marriages, his failed marriages, the relationship with his children, relationship that he people in the ring. One thing I like about Jim Ross is a very vivid storyteller, and him and Brett have some of the sharpest minds I've ever seen. And he vividly told every story in regards to Pillman's life that he had in interactions with him, which was dope. But one thing that was sad to me was only about two people within the wrestling business came to his funeral, which was Vince McMahon and Jim Ross. I don't know why the Hitman, Austin, and all them didn't come. I'm thinking, and this is just from people that know me personally, it was such a sudden thing that you won't want to see your friend in a casket. I could understand that being a shock to people, especially Stone Cold, because him and Pillman were tight. Brett and Pillman were tight. Pillman and the Hart Foundation was tight. So to see him in a casket, for him to get wiped out just like that, I could understand. You don't want to see that. But overall, man, it was one of the best documentaries out. Darkside of the Ring been knocking it out of the ballpark. So check that out on Vice. I'm going to be talking about the Randy Savage one next. So subscribe, Screwball Radio. We in here. Let's go.